Oh, the car from Carvana's here. Well, will you look at that? It's exactly what I ordered. Like, precisely. It would be crazy if there were any catches. But there aren't, right?
Right. Because that's how car buying should be. With Carvana, you get the car you want. Choose delivery or pickup and a week to love it or return it.
Buy your car today with
Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key. And that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's up, Buffalo Fanatics? Josh Allen here. Just wanted to say, go Bills.
What is going on, Buffalo Fanatics? It's your man, Rev, and you are now tuned in to another episode of Rated Rev, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy on the Buffalo Fanatics Network. Smash that like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I am so glad to be here with you guys for this show. And I'll tell you what, I've got a very special guest who's coming on a little bit later, and y'all gonna want to stay tuned because I'm so glad to have this brother here with me. But we're going to talk about a whole lot tonight. We want to definitely get into your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions about the Buffalo Bills and where they stand right now. And I'll be honest, it's been a disappointing season so far for the Buffalo Bills. I think we can all agree to that. We were all very hopeful that the Bills would go all the way this season. And I'm not counting the year off, but just as far as expectations are concerned, when we started the year, I think many of us felt like the Bills would go all the way this year. But as it stands right now, the Buffalo Bills are 6-6 and second place in the division behind the Miami Dolphins. And I'll be honest, I mean, they'd be lucky to make the playoffs. If we're being honest, the Buffalo Bills would be lucky to make the playoffs. And that's a tough pill. That's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you consider the fact that they had such high expectations coming into the season. Now, the good news, though, is that the Bills have 5 games remaining on their schedule to change their fate. The bad news, however, is the teams that they have left to play have a combined win-loss record of 31-25. Now, according to Sharp Football Analysis, based on team efficiency this season, the Buffalo Bills have the 3rd hardest strength of schedule remaining in this season. Now, they've played the 2nd easiest schedule through week 12, and they sit at just 6-6 and are currently the 10th seed in the AFC. So the truth of the matter is, they have absolutely nobody to blame but themselves. The schedule, though, I think at the beginning of the year for the Bills was there at the start of the season. It was there for them to really kind of get off to a good start. You know what I mean? To have a solid record, allowing them to struggle if they needed to along, as they approached down the stretch, this gauntlet of teams down the stretch. Unfortunately, though, the Buffalo Bills laid major eggs this season, dropping games to below average teams like the Jets, the Bengals, the Broncos, and the Patriots, of all people. Now, the Bills currently face the NFL's 3rd most difficult schedule of opponents in their final 5 games of the year after a bye this week. They have to play 3 top 6 teams that include the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and a rematch with the Dolphins again, with 2 of those teams on the road. They'll also make a trip cross-country to play the Los Angeles Chargers, who I know their record may not show anything, but they have talent, and that's a good football team. So, needless to say, the Buffalo Bills have put themselves in this hole, and they're going to have to dig themselves out of it. And with 5 incredibly tough and highly important games left to go, the stakes could not be any higher. So, my question to all of Bills Mafia and to those who are watching and those who are listening, who will listen via podcast format, can the Bills, with 5 games left, can the Bills make a run to save the season? Can they do it? We've seen in years past the Bills at the tail end of the year have been able to make a run. But the question is, have they dug themselves in too far and too deep of a hole? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. The Bills' path to the playoffs. What happened, ladies and gentlemen? What happened? The Bills are 6-6 right now. I don't think any of us anticipated or imagined they would be sitting at this current record right now. Second place in the AFC East. We spent, I don't know how long, probably all offseason, listening to, fans throughout the division, Dolphins fans, Jets fans, et cetera, talk about how, the Bills are not going to win the division. We laughed at talks about how the Bills were going to be third place in the division behind the Dolphins and the Jets. Dolphins fans were very confident going into the season. They believed without a doubt that the Dolphins would win the division. And we, by many standards, we just kind of laughed at it all. But who has the last laugh right now? Who's laughing right now? The Bills are 6-6. I'm not trying to find a silver lining here. It is what it is. Like I mentioned earlier, they dug themselves into this hole, and they're going to have to dig themselves out of it. When you look at the start of the season, week 1, they lose against the Jets. How in the world that happened when you consider the fact that Aaron Rodgers left due to injury, and they were playing against Zach Wilson, who has been benched numerous times this year. They lost that game. Then we look at this team, and they went on a win streak, and we thought that this is the team that we want to see. This is the team right here that the Bills are capable of being. They blew out the Raiders 38-10 in week 2. And they followed that up against the Commanders 37-3. And then in week 4, against the division rival Miami Dolphins, who at that time were beating the brakes off of everybody. We went in there with the Dolphins, who I think just put up 70 points on the Broncos, and we completely decimated them, obliterated them, 48-20. Bills flying high. Week 5, we go overseas, London game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if anybody felt like the Bills were going to win that game or if they felt like they were going to lose the game. I was fairly confident in that game, but there were some things that happened that I didn't like heading into the game. Number one was how late in the week Sean McDermott took the team out there. Very late in the week. And I felt like that could bite them in the butt, and then they were doing a lot of sightseeing as well. So I didn't feel like that was the right move. Whether or not I was right or not, really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the Bills lost that game and they looked awful. They looked awful. And at that moment in that game is where the wheels started to fall off a little bit here on the team. Losses to Daquan Jones and then Matt Milano. And then, prior to that game, the Bills lost Tre'Davious White to an Achilles injury, lost for the season. And so by week 5, the Bills lost 3 key starters to season-ending injuries, and the Bills dropped that Jaguars game in London 25-20. I mean, we're questioning the Bills' fate already at week 5. wondering what they could do. How are they going to be able to overcome those type of losses to the defense? So they enter week 6 back home to face the New York Giants. Brian Daboll returning back to Buffalo. And again, for the second week in a row, they looked pitiful. The offense stumbles over themselves. The Bills got lucky, and I mean lucky, and escaped with a win, 14-9. And on what many people would agree that Taron Johnson interfered with Darren Waller and a would-be game-winning touchdown. And had the Bills lost to the Giants, I think the pitchforks would have been out at that moment. But the Bills escaped with a victory, a narrow victory, 14-9 against the Giants. And that's when the talk was going. Even though they won, it felt like a loss. So then you got week 7 at New England. Terrible team, terrible offense, Macaroni Jones. And what do the Buffalo Bills do? They lay probably one of the worst losses of the season against a team that had no business, none, hanging in the game, let alone winning. And the Bills lost to the New England Patriots 29-25. And I don't think I can ever forgive that team for that loss, ever. When you look at how bad the Patriots are and how bad they were then, we made Mac Jones look like a pretty decent quarterback. And I don't care about the injuries to the defense. That makes no sense. I don't care whatsoever. The Bills' backups should have handily defeated the Patriots. Handily. They dropped that loss to the Patriots 29-25. Then week 8 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're at home, and they look better. All of a sudden, we see glimpses of the offense that we saw early in the season. Josh Allen coming back, and the Bills won that game 24-18. Still a close game, but nevertheless, some encouraging things that we were able to see in that game. That gave us hope. Okay, maybe the Bills have found their way. Maybe they're turning things around. Then week 9 against despised foe and the Cincinnati Bengals. In Cincinnati, the Bills lose. Now, I don't know. Many people thought that the Bills were going to win that game. They lost. And they lost to that game 24-18. The Bills would go on a 2-game losing streak following that game against the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. Of all people, they would lose the Broncos 24-22. The offense again looks bad. Questions galore about Ken Dorsey and the offense and whether or not he needs to stay or go. We're surrounding this team. National media were all over the Bills and this offense, Sean McDermott and Ken Dorsey and Josh Allen. And the season was kind of in the balance. And what did Sean McDermott do? He finally cuts ties with his offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. Says enough is enough. Many thought that it was a scapegoat. Others thought that it was the right thing to do. Needless to say, Joe Brady becomes the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills on an interim basis. And in week 11, the rematch against the New York Jets at Highmark Stadium, we saw the Buffalo Bills offense that we wanted to see. And they won not by a close game, but by remarkable fashion, 32-6. Josh Allen going completely off in that game, which set up the Week 12 matchup just ahead of the bye week. Week 12 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, a tough game against the Eagles on the road in Philly. And I tell you what, throughout that game, that was probably the game of the year. In my opinion, that was a heavyweight match. Toe to toe, blow for blow. Say what you want. I mean, I know people were talking about the referees and all that kind of stuff. And yes, it was a poorly officiated game. But the Bills had plenty of opportunities to win that game. Plenty of opportunities. And they squandered them away. They allowed Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to make adjustments in the second half and to come back in that game. And Josh Allen did his thing in that game. And many would say Josh Allen actually won that game, only to end up going into overtime because the defense could not make a stop. The Eagles kick a 59-yard field goal to send the game into overtime. And the rest is history, right? We know what happened. Eagles took the field. Bills lost that game. Many would question a lot of the calls and that Sean McDermott made in that game, especially at that particular moment in overtime. Some of the defensive calls and the plays and the conservative nature that we've seen Sean McDermott coach his team in crunch time and in key moments of the game. And the Eagles marched down the field on a terrible call by Sean McDermott, 0 blitz. But Jalen Hurts runs it in for the touchdown. Eagles win 37-34 in overtime. Here we are, the Buffalo Bills sitting at 6-6 at the bye week. And we're asking the question, what happened? What happened with these Buffalo Bills? How could they get to this place? They had high expectations. We had high expectations. But now they're on the outside looking in, trying to figure out if they are even going to make the playoffs. A lot of questions. Am I right? A lot of questions about this team, about what went wrong. A lot of people are talking about Sean McDermott. And whether or not you trust him going forward, not just this year, but I'm talking about in the future. Is Sean McDermott seat hot? We talked about Josh Allen and is Josh Allen being restrained by Sean McDermott? I mean, could there be an opportunity, a possibility where we see Josh Allen's career being wasted because of Sean McDermott and his conservative nature and coaching at the highest stakes in the biggest moments of games? That's a question that not only am I posing to you all in the chat, but it's a question that I want to ask my guest. And he's been patient, so I'm going to bring him on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, do me this favor. Drop some fire emojis right now in the chat for my man, the host of the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, my brother from another mother, the voice, Joe Miller. What is going on, Joe? And how are you feeling, baby?
Good. I'm doing good. I'm going to need this week to recover from everything that we've watched through the first 12 games of this season, right? So this is a nice week to just kind of settle in, taking some football tomorrow and Monday, and just kind of just allow my body and my heart to relax. Like, let's just get some of the bad juju out of here, right? So.
Oh, no doubt, man. No doubt. Like I don't know. That Eagles game, and I'll be honest, Joe, like, at the beginning of the year, when I saw that schedule and I saw the Eagles game, I penciled in a loss. There was no way I thought the Bills were going to win that game. But, as the season progressed and when we started to see, especially like the last few weeks, when we started to see what Joe Brady was able to do with the offense, I got my expectations kind of rose a little bit. And I was like, you know what, man, I think this team can win. And I went on my show just before that game, and I gave the Bills a victory. I felt like the Bills could win that game against the Eagles. And they went out there and early in that game, it looked like the Bills were about to open the floodgates.
Yep.
And some things started happening in the first half. A lot of questionable calls, a lot of people talking about officiating, and of course, I'm not one to blame wins or losses on officials, but I mean, the officiating has been terrible throughout the entire league. But it's hard to overlook some of these things. But needless to say, there are opportunities for the Bills to really win that game early on. I thought one of the key moments in the game, I thought that turned the tide was that James Cook drop.
Oh yeah,
for a would-be walk-in touchdown.
Yeah, second drive, second possession.
Second drive of the game. Yeah, absolutely. And when you consider the elements in that game and just what was happening, I thought the Bills were on a roll and they could have won that game. Second half comes, Bills have the lead, and all of a sudden, man, it's like, and we've seen this before, right? The Eagles, this is kind of what they do. They're they come back in the second half. We saw them do it against the Chiefs. It's just what they do. Yep. They make adjustments. They're very, very well coached team, and they came back in that game and they made it a game. And the Bills were just they were unable to do anything from as far as keeping them from scoring and whatnot. But they still a chance. And I mean, Josh looked like he won that game. It looked like he won that game until he didn't. Until he didn't. Or you know what I mean? And yeah. Joe, like I'm gonna say this, man. Like I watched your show, man, because see, like
I appreciate that.
As a content creator, sometimes, hey, man, I need a therapy session, right? And so I go throughout my rounds and and I listen to shows and man, your post game show, man, you said it so eloquently. You said something that was just so profound to me, and it has stuck with me the entire week. And you posed a question, and you said it to the effect of this. You asked, how many times has Josh Allen walked off the field only to walk into the locker room a loser? Elaborate on that for me, man, if you will. Elaborate on that point, and to all listeners right now, just let us know what you mean by that and really where that came from.
So, I mean, for me, there was a measure of familiarity, right? So there was a degree of familiarity in what we watched happen. So the Buffalo Bills go through the first half of that game, and they overcame a tremendous amount of things that weren't necessarily their fault to get them in position to be up by 10 at halftime. And then the second half happens, right? The Eagles offense, as you said, makes adjustments. The Bills defense does not. The Bills still are maintaining a lead. And then we just watch that lead evaporate as the Bills defense basically allows 30 points in the second half of that football game. But even still with that, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense go down the field and they do exactly what they need to do to put the Bills in a situation where Josh Allen, right? They're in the driver's seat. They just need the defense to make a play. And as that familiarity feeling kind of was just resonating with me, I'm sitting there watching, and it just was like, how many times does this have to happen? And now I know, and you went through it eloquently in your monologue about how bad this offense was early in the season and how the defense played well and the offense couldn't be trusted. And obviously leading to the Dorsey firing, and then we get Joe Brady, and all of a sudden Josh Allen is, I'm effing back, the John Wick thing, which to me was an indictment on Ken Dorsey as much as it was on himself. Like, I don't think it's just Josh that's back. I think there's a measure of what he's being given that is allowing him to be back. But it just basically came up out of me. Like, how many times does this have to happen? And I literally wrote in my notes, how many times does Josh Allen have to walk off the field a winner and walk into the locker room a loser? We know that it's happened twice this year. We know that it happened against the Cardinals in the Hail Mary game. We know that it also happened in the Chiefs game twice. So that's 5 right there. And there was a measure of hyperbole when I said it, because even in my show, I said, is it 2 times this year? Is it 5 times that we know of? 10 times? 15? Like, how many times does it have to happen before it gets to the point where it's unacceptable? And I had the opportunity, the gym that I go to, there's a Canadian professional football quarterback that actually works out. He lives here in Buffalo. And I asked him, I was like, at what point, like, where are you at when it's like, I've done my part, I've done my job, and this isn't a one-off. It hasn't happened a couple times. Like, it happens. It's getting to the point where I think even the offense is feeling it. And he's like, well, at some point in time, he goes, if I'm the quarterback, if I'm Josh Allen, I'm probably going to the owner and having a conversation. And I want to pump the brakes a little bit, because a lot of my show, as much as my show is entitled The Overreaction Show, I don't overreact a ton. We as Bills fans, as Bills Mafia, overreact. My show is about just bringing the emotion, which Rico does very well too. So Rico is probably the king of just bringing you how he felt during the game and how he feels post game. And I do a very similar thing. But even with that overreaction, you know, if we paint the realistic picture, you know, Josh Allen has lost 38 games in his career. That's it, 38. And that's if you include 2018 when the Bills went 6-10. He's lost 28 games since 2019, the first year he went to the playoffs. If you remove those 2 years, he's lost, I think it's 21 games and 3 playoff games in that time. So it's not like he's lost a ton of games and the defense has let them down an immeasurable amount of time. But there's just a familiarity about the way this feels, where Josh Allen does what he's supposed to do, and then the defense doesn't. And then you just get, it's infuriating when you have the conversations afterwards, bro. You know what I'm talking about, because you're at the water cooler, you're wherever you're at, you're at the family's house for Thanksgiving. It's like, yeah, but Josh Allen threw an interception. And it's like, oh my God, like, really? That's where we're at on this? Josh Allen threw an interception. So the whole game is Josh Allen's fault because he threw one interception. It's like,
right.
Give me a break. So yeah, that's
It's
where
nuts,
that kind
man.
of came from. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah, it really makes no sense. I mean, when you think about it, and it's sad though, because and I can kind of, I mean, I feel for a lot of the fans, because they've kind of asked this question, like, you know, are we going to see Josh Allen's career get wasted, you know, behind, you know, a coach who has, for, you know, like you mentioned, a handful of times, 5 times, lost the game when he's won it.
Yeah,
You know,
probably more than 5. It's probably more than 5. It's just 5 that I remember.
Right, exactly. So like, and that's what makes it even worse. And so, so it's like, at what point is enough? You know, like, how much can you expect Josh to do? You know, we talk about Superman Josh, and we need Josh, you know, call him the Winter Soldier, and him coming out and taking the team on his back, on his shoulders, and winning these games. But like, he's handcuffed in moments like these, in the big games that we talk about, that we've seen, where he has gone toe to toe with Jalen Hurts, gone toe to toe with Pat Mahomes, won the game, you know, had the game winning, you know, or supposed to have been game winning drive, and then, oh man, there's too much time left on the clock. What's the defense going to do? Is the defense going to be able to make a stop? And then we see Sean McDermott going out there. I mean, going back to 13 seconds, I'm sitting here looking like at that defense, and just how they called that series, that drive. And we even we heard, you know, Kelsey talk about it, like, man, I can't believe that they left us with that much space, and it was just it was just pitch and catch. It was too easy. And I remember watching that game vehemently, like saying, like, man, why are you guys so far off the line of scrimmage? Get back on. They're just trying to get in field goal range to tick. And here's Sean McDermott trying to protect the end zone. Like, are you serious? It was highly infuriating. I don't mean to bring that back up, because, you know, for the most part, you know, I would like to believe that wounds have healed, but as you can tell, mine hasn't quite healed yet. But we see this happening over and over and over again, and we thought things would change. And so he fires, or he doesn't really fire. Leslie Frazier decides to take a year off, right?
Yeah.
Quote unquote. And so Sean McDermott takes over the defense.
I liked what Leslie said. So Leslie said, with everything that was going on and with everything that happened with DeMar, I just needed to step away. Which to me, there was some relevancy that ranked, because I mean, if we put ourselves back in that situation, I mean, the world stopped in that moment. The world, like, when they cut back from commercial, and I don't mean to tangent on you, but when they cut back from commercial and Josh Allen's in tears and all the team's in tears, that's the moment you knew, like, everything that you had ever feared was happening on that football field. A man was dead right, on the football field. Like, because we've all
Yes.
probably thought that before. What if somebody ever died in a football game, right? What would happen? And here we
Mhm.
are. So I respect what he said, and I believe him. I just want to say that I believe Leslie did
Sure.
step away because he needed to just separate himself kind of from everything that happened last year, because there was a lot. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
You were rocking, so
Yeah,
keep
no,
going.
no. It was a lot. I mean, and just to kind of piggyback on the on your point there. I mean, it that moment showed us that life was bigger than football.
Correct.
Right? And so I can definitely um agree with Leslie Frazier and where he's coming from. I can, and how, what, hey, let's just pump the brakes. Let me just pause for a second and take some time away from the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I believe him. I believe him on that. But then when we see Sean McDermott here, he takes the reins, and now he's calling the defense. And many people thought that, when you look at the playoffs, throughout the Bills playoffs, I mean, under Sean McDermott, they look at Leslie Frazier's defense. He's the defensive coordinator, and we look at the points given up and all that kind of stuff, and we look at this, and we kind of point the finger at Leslie Frazier. Well, now he's gone. He's out of the picture. Now it's all on Sean McDermott. And so we're believing that, all right, Sean is this aggressive, defensive-minded guy, and we hear from his former, coach and Ron Rivera talk about how aggressive he is, and we start to see glimpses of that throughout the season.
Yeah,
but then when here's high-pressure moments in these big games, we start to see some of these things that we thought were dead. We're like, hold on a second. Wait. I thought that was Leslie. I thought that was Frazier.
Came back to life.
Why are we? Where's this conservativeness coming from? I thought the guy who did that was gone. I thought he was the quote unquote scapegoat. I thought he was the reason.
But you hit the nail on the head.
I'll overlook it, right? I'll overlook it, but I'm like, hold on a second. Maybe it's not. Maybe it wasn't Frazier. Maybe it's looking like it's him.
No, it's definitely Frazier. So that was definitely Frazier's defense. And I think the challenge that I have and the problem that I have with the whole situation is McDermott has been calling a much more aggressive defense. And this defense has been playing lights out. Early in the chat before the show started, people were like, oh, how can we expect them to win? Missing Daquan Jones, missing Matt Milano, missing Trey. And the reality is this defense isn't far off from where they were when they started. So Lenville Joseph is doing a fine job. The defensive line is getting after it. And I know people are upset with Vaughn, and I don't want to talk about the stuff necessarily right now about Vaughn, but just Vaughn in general. Terrell Bernard is not Matt Milano, but he is a wild surprise. So I'm the guy that literally at the beginning of the year had a video rolling around of me saying that we don't have a legitimate starting middle linebacker. Lo and behold, Terrell Bernard is playing good football.
Oh, I think everybody said that.
Right. And then Rasul Douglas, I don't care what anybody says, is the number one corner. So I'm really excited to see Trey come back. So this defense is not as far off, and probably shouldn't get the pass that we wanted to give it, despite the fact that they were playing borderline lights out. They were suffocating people. And when the Bills have the lead by one possession, 3 points, 7.6 points, or if they're down, that defense plays lights out. They suffocate you, and they can basically crush whatever offense they're playing. But for some reason, as soon as they get up, and this is the rub that I have with this whole situation, as soon as they get up by 10, 17, 20, they revert to that Leslie Frazier, bend but don't break defense, which is exactly what happened. And this is where the rub comes. McDermott was asked on Monday specifically. I think the beat reporter's name is Charlie. He said, what changed? And McDermott said, nothing changed. He said, schematically, what changed? Nothing changed. Like he doubled down that nothing changed. And it's like everybody that watched that football game saw the Bills go from suffocating, getting after Jalen Hurts, to basically to what you said, 9 yards off the ball. Yeah. Oh, you want to throw it 9 yards? Go ahead. You want to throw it 7 yards? Go ahead. You want to throw it 8 yards? Go ahead. Something definitely changed. So there is a stark difference between McDermott's defense and Frazier's defense. But Frazier's defense is still there. And literally they roll to it, and they've done it forever. And that's that familiarity. How much time is too much time?
Yeah.
When the Bills score and take the lead with 2 minutes left, everybody in Bills Mafia is like, there's too much time. If the Bills score and take the lead with 1:30 left, everybody in Bills Mafia is like, there's too much time. If it's a minute, we're like, okay, we got a chance. And then the Bills still can let up 13 seconds. We've seen it dwindle down to 13 seconds. And in a moment where Sean McDermott could have written his own storybook about 20 seconds to take over 13 seconds, just like he did against the Lions last year. He basically sent Josh Allen out there to kneel on the football. And that was all you needed to know. Like, we're just going to kneel on it. And I wasn't in my feelings, but I am now.
And see, now I'm in my feelings too, Joe, because that right there, I think there was a message spoken in those 20 seconds
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
that wasn't spoken. You know what I'm saying? Like you were the recipient, like you said, the recipient of 13 seconds a couple of years ago.
Yep.
You have Josh Allen playing some of his best ball this year against one of the top teams, not just in the NFC, but in the National Football League in the pouring rain. The man was on fire. And
You
with
did it
20
last year.
seconds left to go.
You did it last year
Yes.
against the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Against the Lions, exactly. They did it against the Lions. And so you have that as a reference. And with 20 seconds to go, you decide, you know what? I don't trust I'm not willing to trust my quarterback. Now I get it. People will say, well, Rev, they only had one timeout left. Okay, well, whose fault was that? Because if we go back, he wasted a timeout trying to, what is this, 1980? Trying to ice the kicker.
But Rev,
When
Josh
has that
threw an
really worked?
interception. But Rev, Josh threw an interception. So
Oh,
it's
come
all
on now.
Josh's fault. He
It's
threw an
got to be
interception
Josh's
in
fault
that
because he threw the interception. I mean, he's
Regardless of the fact
the
that
interception king.
regardless of the fact that the defender came off of his man and made an incredible defensive play,
Yep.
you know, it's still Josh's fault that he threw an interception. It's all that
Josh
whole
threw an
game is
interception,
Josh's
and it's
fault.
his fault. It's his fault, and coach didn't trust him again. The coach was like, you know what? Hey, I'm not going to put the ball up in the air 20 seconds to go. I don't trust my quarterback to not make a mistake, so let me just kneel it out.
But at the end of the day, Josh technically this game won that game twice too, right? So I mean, they had to kick a game tying field goal, right? In the last seconds in the waning seconds of the game, and then Josh Allen drove the field. And yes, we all know about the parting of the seas. That Ghost Davis went out and he threw the ball in. Yes, I called him Ghost Davis. Ghost Davis went out and he threw it in. But then they kicked a field goal and took the lead. Josh did his job. And then what happens? The defense lets
he
up
walked
again.
up the field a winner. And
8 yards, 9 yards, 12 yards, 8, 9, whatever, bang, straight down the field. And then everybody saw what happened after that. I think that was also very telling. Just hearing one of the Philly players talk about the fact that when they lined up in that defense on the last play that Jalen Hurts walked off on, it was cover zero, and they knew it. They were like, oh my gosh, like, regardless of what the call play is, if the defense shows us that look, we know exactly what's going to happen. Jalen's going to run it in or just take off. And that's exactly what happened. And the fact that McDermott doesn't know that tendency, doesn't know that in that situation that's exactly what's going to happen, is probably more
problematic.
It's problematic. Yeah.
It's problematic. It's problematic. That's exactly what it is, because you're supposed to be this top flight defensive minded guy. And the Eagles said, look, this is a staple play. This is, I mean, you can look at countless tape after tape after tape, game after game after game, and you can see them running that play all the time. And for you as a head coach to sit there and say, in that moment, let me just call a zero blitz. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call a blitz in this moment here. And the blitz is going to work. It's going to work. Right. And I mean, where was your film study? And I get it. We can try to blame execution. We can try to blame, Micah Hyde for, for being out of position. But that play should never happen. And see, and here's my gripe too, because coaches oftentimes want to talk about execution, and they almost want to lay the blame on players for their lack of execution far too often. When, in my opinion, and I'm no football player, but in my opinion, I mean, it's not our fault that we don't execute a bad play. Sure. You're the one calling the play, and this play is not going to work. Yeah. The offense knows it's not going to work, but you're still calling this play, and you expect us to execute it when it's not going to work. And so, like, Sean McDermott, he has to take some of the blame, and he has to take accountability. But the problem is, as a defensive coordinator, he's not firing himself. And so who else does he have to look at? Like he's not gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna give the job to Babbage or Washington. You know what, I'm firing myself. I'm relieving myself of defensive coordinator duties. You guys call, but he's not going to do that. So it's an issue, Joe, and it's highly frustrating for me watching that happen. Sure. Far too often. And we have to rely on Josh, to do his job, and he's done his job. And like Jeff King says, and I appreciate Jeff coming in with the super chat. Jeff, he says, the Winter Soldier should not be a weekly thing. It should be smashed glass when needed, and he's needed too much. And he give a shout out to you, Joe. Rev Joe, good to see you. Yep. I agree with Jeff, man. It's like the Winter Soldier, Josh Allen. He shouldn't have to be coming out of the phone booth. You know what I mean? Every
There's a
single week.
difference. There's a difference. There's a difference, and you know, and again, hot take Joe, right? Overreaction. You know, week 1 against the Jets, he threw 3 senseless picks where he just got frustrated and just got impatient, and the proof of that statement and the proof of that theory that we all had, that it's just Josh getting impatient and the Jets setting him up to get impatient, is the fact that when they played the Jets a second time and throttled them,
Yeah.
Saleh literally came out and said Josh didn't get impatient. We baited him into trying to stretch that out and putting him in a situation where he would basically just make a mistake, and he didn't do it this time, which just proves what we all thought, that Josh was forcing the ball when he didn't need to. And I'm the one that said maybe letting Josh be Josh all the time is a bad thing, but there's a measure, there's a balance in there between Josh Allen that has to take over a football game and still letting Josh kind of be Josh, right? And I think what we saw against the Eagles wasn't necessarily Winter Soldier Josh. I think that was just who Josh Allen is. And there's a difference
Yes.
between Sugar High Josh and Josh Allen being the Winter Soldier, and then Josh Allen being Josh, and then just, you know, a guy that's kind of neutered and, you know, is being forced to make throws and forced into play calls that aren't really, that don't fit who he is, which we saw Ken Dorsey. So he's got now a play caller that we all believe kind of understands who he is, understands what he wants to do. Mitch Moore said it best right the day before Dorsey got fired, which was, you know, in situations like this, we got to go back to what we're good at and realizing what we do well, and then start focusing on those things. Dorsey's fired, and all of a sudden they're doing all the things that went well. So who knows what happened behind closed doors? All that to say this, I don't need Josh Allen forcing footballs down the field when the game is close, when you've got a lead. There's just no reason for it. But for Josh Allen to play like he did against the Jets, to play like he did against the Eagles, that's who the kid is. Let him go ball. Let him go play, right? I mean, he knows how to protect himself. Just let the kid play football. And I was, you know, man, where were you at on the whole idea of not letting him run because you wanted to save him? You wanted to save his career. Were you there?
No.
See, I was.
No.
Jay Spencer King and I would talk about it all the time. Like, we got to get this guy to be a pocket passer. He may never be a pocket passer. That just may not ever be who he is.
Now I was somewhere in the middle. I agreed with that Josh at times he took unnecessary hits. He made unnecessary decisions when he was running the ball, like jumping over defenders. Like, I mean, we saw it against this year. Who was it? Early, I think they were kind of near the goal line, and Josh decided to try to leap over a defender, and he got, you know, like set down. I don't know if it was early against the Raiders or what, but anyway, he did that.
Twice. I think it's happened twice this year, but not at the goal line twice, but once at the goal line, once against the Jets as well. I'm pretty sure it happened. So yeah.
So to a degree, I could understand the need to try to say, hey, Josh, you know, slide, okay, you don't need to do that. I mean, and this is when you can see the Winter Soldier, right? Like when you need to win the game, and we're talking about in the playoffs and postseason, and this is, you know, games on the line. Then you go ahead and do that if you feel the need to do it. But
break
you know
the
what I'm
glass.
saying? But
Point,
right, break glass, yeah, exactly, in case of emergency. And so I was like, all right, Josh, you just need to know when to do it, right? When to turn it on and when to turn it off. But at the same time, you can't restrict him from who he is. Right. And I think the messaging from Ken Dorsey may have just kind of messed with him, because we've heard the message in Ken Dorsey used to say it all the time. It was, you know, play smart, not conservative.
Right.
And so I think that, you know, in Josh's filter, it may have messed him up. It may have made him a little too gun shy at times.
That's
know, where he felt like, you know what, dang, if I take off here, or if I use my legs here, if I, you know, scramble and do this here, then I'm, you know, this is not me being smart. So I need to be conservative. And I think it was the messaging may have just messed him all up. And so back to your point about Joe Brady, like, I like how Joe is letting him be him, and he's calling plays that fit his skill set, but they're also allowing him to do what he does best, and within measure. And so, yeah, like, this is the Josh Allen that we can expect to see. And when Josh is playing like this, I mean, you show me another quarterback, you know, that can really beat him, you know, head for head. I mean, he can go toe to toe with anybody, with Pat Mahomes and Jalen Hurts and anybody in the league right now. He can do it, and he absolutely has.
Other than Burrow is like the only guy for some reason. Zach Taylor and the Bengals have the Bills number. They just do. They know how to play us.
I think it's Lou Anarumo, man. I think that
Part of it.
defensive coordinator, man,
Zach Taylor knows how to pick apart the Bills defense as well. He knows how
he
to match
does.
up against them, which is
He
a
does.
lot of your commenters are like, I hate when Josh runs. I love it and I hate it when Josh runs. I just want to see him slide. What's interesting is I share some of that sentiment. I want to see him slide and not necessarily put his shoulder into a guy,
Yeah.
especially when he's got a right shoulder injury. I don't want to see him
Yes.
necessarily go head first unless he needs to. I don't always want to see him run in the middle of the field unless it's unless I'm on the couch screaming run because there's nobody in the middle of the field. Sometimes he just runs, but on the goal line,
Yeah.
he's
a weapon, man.
on the goal line, almost like no other quarterback. Like it's one thing to have a quarterback that can run it in. Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, obviously, Lamar Jackson is all worldly when it comes to this stuff. There's something about what Josh does to defenses. It almost paralyzes them when he's a threat to run inside the 10-yard line towards the end zone because they know it's coming and they know they can't stop it, which puts them on their heels for everything else that's going to happen around them. With Lamar, it's almost like he's going to run, right? With Jalen at times, like he's going to run. We know.
Right.
With Josh, I think defenses are like, I don't know what he's going to do. I just don't want him to run. I don't want him to run, right? And then you're not sure, and it puts you on your heels. But it's definitely tough. But let him run. Just let him go.
But then we heard Leslie Frazier say the same thing. In the podcast, I think a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about it, and this is before. I don't know if this was before they fired Ken Dorsey, but they were talking. But he had made mention of Josh's legs, and the question was posed to him like, how would you defend Josh right now? If you're defending him, how would you defend him? And he basically said, look, I mean, Josh right now, what makes Josh dangerous is his legs. That's what makes him dangerous. That's what makes defensive coordinators kind of like afraid, is because of the threat with him running the ball. He's extremely dangerous passing the ball, but I would just play coverage right now because for some reason they're not running him. That's basically what he said, paraphrasing. Yep. And we saw that, and so you have to. So defensive coordinators, they're talking about this. They know that Josh is a dangerous threat with his legs. He's already bad, dangerous with his arm. And so if they could just sit back and play coverage without the threat of him running, then they'll do that. And we saw that happening early in the week. Early in the year. But now that he's starting to incorporate more of his skill set now and running the ball more, it makes him all the more dangerous, and it brings that fear factor back in. Into teams. And so, Josh, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. My thing here is not so much Josh. For me, because we've seen enough of Josh to know who he is and what we can expect. And when he's on his A game, he's dangerous. He's tough to beat.
Unless the defense gives up 9 yards of pass.
Well, there you go. There you go. Which goes to who's running the defense.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
No, because that's a perfect segue because that's exactly where I was headed. Sean McDermott. It all goes back to Sean McDermott for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to ask you the question flat out. This is the people are talking about this left, right, and center. We've heard reports coming out and about there's no way Sean McDermott is going to get relieved. Right. Sources close to Bagula say, there's no way in the world he's getting relieved. Whatever. I call cap. My question to you, Joe, is Sean McDermott the right coach to lead this organization to its first Super Bowl victory?
So there was an alarming stat that came out, and I saw it on Twitter. I don't remember. Not that I don't know. I don't remember who posted it. It was just thumb scrolling through Twitter and saw it, and I was like, that things that make you go and this was one of those things. There was a tweeter out there, somebody on Twitter out there that is respectable. Again, I wish I remembered exactly who it was, and it might be somebody, one of the content creators. It could be somebody in the comment section. I don't know, but they said literally. They had a stat that said no head coach and quarterback combo has ever won a Super Bowl after being 5 years together if they haven't won it already.
Yep.
And I was like, oh.
In history.
In history.
In the history of the NFL.
I was just like, oh, that's not a great, and I'm the king of the phrase stats only matter until they don't. So like I'm the guy that says on Twitter, because we've got so many content creators are about the stats and it's all about the stats
Yeah.
and DVOA this and DVOA that. And, Josh Allen and this many times and this defense and in this situation. And it's like
Yes.
stats only matter until they don't. Josh Allen put up 400 yards of offense on his own and lost a football game. They're the first time. They were the 39th team to put up, I think, over 500 yards of offense, score 4 touchdowns, and something else and lose. It was the first stats.
First time ever.
Yeah, stats only matter until they don't. And this is one of those situations where maybe this stat does matter. Like if it's never happened before, there's an aspect of like maybe we need to make a move. And then it turns into all the yeah butters. Yeah, but who are you going to get? Yeah, but what are the chances of this? And it has happened. Head coaches have moved teams. John Gruden went to the Bucs and won a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's football team, right? Just because of a couple small tweaks and a couple small philosophy changes.
Yeah.
It does happen. So don't think that it doesn't happen. The question is who, and there's an aspect of like with Josh Allen, I feel like there'd be guys lining up. The Bills could make a trade for somebody.
Absolutely.
We've heard rumors that Sean McVay has wanted out of LA for years. Trade for Sean McVay. Would you give up a first-round pick to bring Sean McVay to this football team?
Without question.
Without question. But at the end of the day, he ain't going anywhere. That's the fact of the matter is he is approaching, if he's not already, he's approaching being the winningest coach in Bills history. He's not going anywhere. Like Sean McDermott's not. Unless some to me, and you can answer this question. If you miss the playoffs to the Steelers, the Browns, and the Colts, you deserve to be fired. If Josh Allen is your quarterback, in my opinion, you've colossally done something wrong during the season. That is, the Browns are on their 4th quarterback, right? The Colts are on their 2nd quarterback, and they're now going to have a backup running back, which these are all also conversations of how the Bills could make the playoffs. But if you miss the playoffs to the Browns, to the Steelers, Kenny Pickett is horrible. He's a garbage quarterback. And then obviously,
if you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
the Colts, in my opinion, there's conversation about whether or not you should keep your job, about whether or not you were the reason, because there's a philosophy that I'm working on, and I apologize, I'm taking up a bunch of time.
No, go ahead, man.
There's a theory, a philosophy that I'm working on, and I don't even know how to put it into words because I'm not Bruce Nolan. Like, I'm not one of these super smart dudes, but
yeah,
you can be in a football game as a player, and you can be an active participant in losing a football game. You can make a mistake. You can drop a catch on a wheel route that's a touchdown, James Cook, that turns into two false starts, and then another missed pass, and then another problem on special teams, right? Like, you can be the domino. You can throw an interception. You can fumble the football. You can be an active participant. You can miss a field goal that's the game-tying or game-winning field goal. There's also people that get to be inactive participants that can help you lose a football game, and that's who your head coach is. Your head coach making bad decisions is an inactive participant in the game that is causing you to lose a football game, and the players can't overcome it. And at what point in time is he making enough mistakes over and over again, the same mistakes where even the fans have familiarity, and dorks like me are saying, how many times does Josh Allen have to walk off a football field a winner to walk to the locker room a loser before somebody says this has to stop?
Yeah. Absolutely. And and then you got guys like Rico talking about, leave Sean McDermott alone, buddy.
Love Rico.
So I mean, you have a contingent.
He's not wrong. He's not Rico's not wrong. He's the OG.
I'm gonna call Rico out, man. I'm gonna call him out.
He's not wrong.
I mean, it's almost split 50-50, with people who want to see Sean McDermott fired and those who want to see him remain. Here's where I land on all of this. And I liken it to this. So there is a possibility that a coach, just like players, can have a cap, a ceiling, where they can be limited in certain aspects.
100%.
And they can have, a certain DNA, like this is what they're known for. This is who they are. And they're comfortable within their space. So say, for instance, if I'm a We're talking about building a house. You have those guys. You have your specialties. You have guys who lay the concrete. You have guys who do the plumbing. You have guys who you have electricians. You have all that, right? And then you have finishers, like the people who go in and they inspect the house and make sure everything's okay. And then you have the guys who actually come in and stage the house so that way the house is ready for sale. Okay, you can have a beautiful house all you want.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
You can have a beautiful house all you want. Is perfect. It's great. Looks amazing. Could be ready to sell. But without proper staging, without that designer, that person to come in there and say, okay, let me just go ahead and add this little detail here and there and make it livable, make it look like what somebody wants it to look like, it could sit on the market and not sell, even though you have a wonderful house.
Yeah.
And so my thing is this: Sean McDermott might be just good at doing something, and that something could be just a culture guy. He could be great at bringing, going into a team where the team hasn't won a playoffs for so long, and they're in need of a culture change, and he's a great guy to come in there and change the culture and bring the team back up to winning status and get them there.
Yep.
But as far as finishing, as far as staging the team to win the Super Bowl, he's just not that guy. You got to bring in a designer. You got to bring in somebody to come in here and actually stage the house right, who can build on the foundation and sell it. That's where I think Sean McDermott is.
What you're speaking to is the fact that playoff wins are a coach stat. So like as much as we hear that the wins are not a quarterback stat, and by and large they're not, even though I feel like losses are kind of a quarterback stat. If you got a bad quarterback, you're going to lose football games, period, end of story. Sure. Meanwhile, the quarterback, it's not a quarterback stat to win games, but wins, a winning quarterback, Peyton Manning winning, at the percentage that he won at with the Colts and then getting hurt, missing a season, and that team going 1-15 says something, right? Like there's an aspect of like when a team loses its quarterback and they tank. Tom Brady would be a great example. As much as Tom Brady is probably the greatest quarterback ever to play football, and it's now being proven because of the fact that Bill Belichick can't win without him. When Tom Brady got hurt, when he blew out his knee, Matt Castle came in, who never, I don't think, started a game in college. And they won 12 games with Matt Castle as the quarterback.
Yeah.
And to me, that says something. All that to say this, going back to your point about the playoffs. The regular season is a melee. It's literally a melee, and there's an aspect of it literally being a week-to-week league, as much as I hate that phrase because we leaned on it this season when it wasn't. It was like, no, there's a problem. And then we had to get to like week 5, week 6, and things weren't going well before it was like, oh, there really is a problem. You're right. It's not a week-to-week league. This team has an issue on offense.
Yeah.
However, the reality is the regular season is a week-to-week league. Period. End of story. It's a melee. When you get to the tournament, it's about coaching. And 100%. Sean McDermott got his ass out coached big time in that Eagles game. He got out coached in the Broncos game. He got out coached in the Chiefs game, the 13-second game. There's the amount of games that Sean McDermott has gotten out coached in is the problem. So the question is can you find a head coach to get you through the melee, to get you to the tournament, that can then, the Broncos, believe it or not, are going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs because Sean Payton is an amazing coach, right? He's an amazing coach. So that's the problem. When it gets to the one game tournament football, Sean McDermott gets out coached. He just does not. He's 4-4 as a head coach in the playoffs. I'm not saying he gets out coached all the time, but when he goes up against Andy Reid, when he goes up against a good head coach, he has a tendency to not come out on the right side.
I mean, and that's it. And that's kind of, where I stand. And that's why I'm at the point to where I'm ready to cut bait. Because not that I don't like Sean McDermott, not that I don't think he's a good guy, not that I don't think that he's a good coach. It's that the expectations and the standard have risen.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can say it's because of Sean McDermott. I mean, he raised it. And that's what he does. I mean, that goes back to my point is that's who he is as a coach. He can raise expectations and the standards. He's a good coach. He's in that regard.
Yep.
However, when it comes down to the playoffs, you have to not only have the dogs, right, but you have to have the coaching. The coaching is what's going to get you over the hump. That's and time again, coaching has failed this team. When you have a guy like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, when you have these weapons that have done their job, The coaching has not done theirs.
Right.
And there has to come a point in time when you, as you know, I mean, whether you're Brandon Beane or, I mean, apparently it's going to have to be the Pagulas. When you sit there and you say, you know what?
It's not Beane. Beane
Is not, he has no power.
They both report. Well, he has power. They both report to Pagula, though. Beane is not Sean's boss.
Yeah. So the Pagulas are going to have to be the ones that sit here and say, look, we have to do something else, because though you are probably, on part of being the winningest coach in Bills history, though you've gotten us out of the mud and putting us on this stage, and you've done this for us, for this franchise. I appreciate it, but we need better. The standard is up. The expectations are higher. This team is better than they currently are showing themselves to be in the playoffs. That's where it comes down to for me. And I went into the end of last year after that Bengals game. It really kind of upset me, because I was like, you know what? I had no faith in Ken Dorsey whatsoever. Zero faith in Ken Dorsey. And it really went back to probably like halftime of that Packers game, just kind of watching how he was coaching the game. I was like, well, Josh Allen's really taken over.
Yep.
But they had a weak schedule, and Josh was able to get him through. But then coaching in the playoffs again, I'm like, look, I just can't deal with this. They have to get rid of Ken Dorsey, but I'm questioning Sean McDermott. Like this year, and this is me going into this year, I said, you know what? It doesn't matter to me what happens in the regular season. It's all about the postseason for me.
Mm-hmm.
What they do in the postseason is going to tell me a lot about this team going forward. Not just the team, but the coaches. And I allowed, my homerism and my fandom to kind of pull me in, and I got sucked into the roller coaster of emotions of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are again, and we're questioning the coaching. Now we're sitting at 6-6 going into this. I mean, outside of the bye week, and we're like, do we trust Sean McDermott to really get this team not just out of this hole, but if by chance they manage to get into the postseason, like how many of you all out there right now are going to be sitting here waiting for the moment when Sean McDermott drops another egg in the postseason? Like, at what point is enough?
Well, the hard part is Enrico had a good statement in the comments where he said, look, if they lose the next 5 in a row, we can have a conversation about firing Sean McDermott. Well, it's not really a fair comment. It's a good comment. Yes, if he loses the next 5 in a row, there probably is a real conversation at One Bills Drive about whether or not Sean McDermott is going to remain the head coach of this football team. But it's kind of an unfair place to put our expectation, because it's not about losing the next 5. The Bills could potentially win. They're going to win 9 in a row to win the Super Bowl. The Bills have won, I think, 8 or 9 in a row before. I believe they won. I want to go back to my Corey Bojorquez jersey, and I believe it was 9-0 in the Boho before they lost, or they were getting ready to. I think they went 8-0. They lost the 9th game or something like that. But regardless, they've gone on long stretches like this before. But to your point, it's exactly right. When they get to the tournament, if they get in, and I think they can win out, I think there's a possibility. Anything is possible. And I think even if they don't win out, there's a chance, because again, it's the Browns, the Steelers, and the Colts. They got to beat out one of those teams. Now they've dug a hole inside the hole. They've lost 6 games. 5 of them are inside the conference, which is not great because people have tiebreakers against you. But at the end of the day, your point is the most valid point. When they get to the tournament, is he going to be able to not commit the inactive errors that we have watched him commit over and over again? Are we going to be in a situation where if the Bills are up by 16 points, or let's call it 17, so it's a 3-possession game and it's the middle of the third quarter, can he stay aggressive in his defense? Or is he going to turn it into a situation where everybody lets off the gas and there's just let's keep everything in front of us? The offense, for some reason, doesn't want to make mistakes, and we get into this. It's it's not Josh Allen. Josh Allen doesn't get up 17 points and in the third quarter decide, I'm not going to complete every pass.
I can play anymore.
I'm just not going to do that. No, it's a coaching thing. It's a philosophical thing. The play calls change. We get safe. The defense wants to keep everything in front of it. Sean said it on Monday. The offensive receiver's never supposed to get behind the defense. That's the mistake. Well, maybe that's the mistake. Maybe the mistake is playing too far back. But there's a lot that's going to go into this soup. At the end of the day, we all want to see the Bills make the playoffs. At the end of the day, Sean McDermott changed the culture here. And there was a day when the culture went sideways in a bad fashion. John Fina, Jerry Ostrowski will tell you all about it. It's the day that Greg Williams was hired and the day that Tom Donahoe was hired. That was the day that this team sunk into oblivion. And that was the key marker. The key marker on the way up was Sean McDermott getting hired. He changed the culture. It won Bill's drive.
Yeah.
But you said it very, very well. Is he the right guy to raise the bar again and meet it? And I don't have that answer. We're going to find out, because I don't think he's going to get fired, but we're going to find out if he has that ability. And the question is how many years of Josh Allen's career do we have left? And, and inside of that, at what point in time does Josh say to himself, I think I could win if I was a whatever, right?
Oh my gosh.
Pick a team.
Oh.
Like, I think I could win if I was with that other team over there. I'm
Mm.
not saying that that's going to happen, but
Mm.
do you think Aaron Rodgers is happy about winning one Super Bowl? Probably not, right?
No. I'm gonna put a pin in that right there, Joe, because you said something right there that really just stirred something up within me. I'm gonna go back to the super chat here from Jeff King again. And it kind of piggybacks on that one point that you made about kind of, where the Bills were back then. He says, "Yo, look, I loved Marv Levy, loved him, had all the dogs to pull the sleigh, but he couldn't get it done." I'm reliving the same scenario again, and that is, and for those who remember the Bills from then, can agree, right? I mean, you have a point of reference, and you can kind of see the writing on the wall, so to speak. Like, dang, man, like this team is very, very good. They have the dogs, they have the dogs to pull the sleigh, but man, is the coach to get them over the hump? He hasn't done it yet. I mean, he hasn't even made it to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. I mean, so in my opinion, I mean, so far, I mean, at least Marv Levy's went 4 times in a row, and
Right,
Sean hadn't even gone once. And
right.
so,
Jeff will remember
there's
one thing in common with both of these teams. Both that team from the 90s Super Bowls. I don't know how old you are, Rev. I'm 50.
Yeah.
Excuse
42.
me. But yeah, there's one thing in common with both of these teams, and that's the prevent defense. So just throwing that out there. Walt Corey was a hardcore prevent defense guy. So the Bills had to boat race people, just what they had to do. And they were capable of doing it until it got to the point where coaching in the tournament became the most important thing. The most important thing in the playoffs is coaching.
It's coaching. Now, to go back to your point that I said, let's put a pin in it. Oh my gosh. So now, when you're in this position, and this is again to kind of go back and forth here with Sean McDermott here. You mentioned Josh Allen, and this is where I don't think many fans are willing to even talk about or to allow in their minds is how long and how many years of Josh Allen's prime could we waste behind a coach who can't get it done?
Right.
Now, Josh is not just some ordinary quarterback here. I mean, we know quarterbacks like this, they don't grow on trees. Josh is a generational quarterback. Okay? Generational quarterback. And when you have one, you cannot be irresponsible with it, with him. And I feel like Sean McDermott is probably getting a little too comfortable with this level of success that he's had, with the team, and the fact that, hey, I've taken the Bills out of the drought. We've been successful. We've been a perennial Super Bowl contending team for X amount of years. We've got Josh Allen. We have a good team. All this, I think he may have gotten a little bit comfortable in that, and not understanding just the type of stallion he has, in Josh Allen. Like, you cannot waste many years of this man's career, especially when you know the way in which he plays. Okay. His physical aggressive nature, you understanding that you cannot be irresponsible with him in these games from a coaching standpoint. And that's where my main gripe is. It's like, okay, the Bagulas, they have to get in here and they have to see. And now look, you're paying Josh $200 million too. I mean, so you're paying this guy a lot of money. It's
300. It was 250 for the extension. Total value of the contract was like 320. It's like 300 million.
See, that's even worse. And I mean, it must be nice to where you can just drop that kind of money and you really are not even concerned about it, because to me, it's like, You have this guy. You're paying this. You're paying him this kind of money. How much longer, right? Like that's why I'm like, there needs to be a sense of urgency, because we have seen it's not just one game, it's not just two games, it's multiple games in the postseason. I'm not talking about the regular season. It's multiple games in the postseason, like you said, coaching matters, where Sean McDermott has failed. Is it going to be when Josh's prime is gone, when it's on a decline? Yeah, I mean, we may make the playoffs, constantly, but again and again and again, we lose. First round, second round, we lose. We can never get there. We lose. Now, all of a sudden, like you had mentioned, Josh gets disgruntled.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven forbid that happens, but he gets disgruntled. He's looking at he's looking at his clock, and he's like, I'm approaching 30. I'm 31, whatever, and I've had enough with this coach. I know if I was with X team with this coach, I would win a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the reality of the situation that we're facing, and it's not as far off as many people may want to think it is. It's right there, and that's my concern is that this coach is not going anywhere. Like you said, like Pagulas are gonna they're not gonna do anything. Sean McDermott could go in there and we could lose again. And it's like the excuse has already been written. Oh, well, look at the injuries that have been sustained on the defense.
Right.
And I've had to, deal with, a second year offensive coordinator who just really wasn't it. And I had to fire him. And so, we just didn't have enough time in the year. But give me one more year and I can assure you, we're going to turn this thing around. Like, come on now. Like that's I'm tired of it. I'm just rambling here, Joe, but
you're good. I got bad news for you.
Man.
I've got bad news inside of your rambling. So first of all, the Buffalo Bills are a business. They're a corporation, right? So at the end of the day, things being good is the most important thing right now, because they're trying to build a stadium. And they're trying to build a stadium that already has, and all they have is a hole in the ground, and it's already got 30% overruns. And the Pagulas are on the hook for the overruns. Now, I know everybody's like, my God, the Pagulas are worth $7 billion. Who gives a crap about 300 million, right? The overruns that they have right now.
Yeah.
The Pagulas are not $7 billion liquid. Most of their assets are the Buffalo Bills and then a bunch of fracking oil fields, natural gas wells in Pennsylvania and across the country that the current administration and government are doing their best to keep them from never being able to use them. So as much as their net worth, now they're wealthy, they're incredibly wealthy. It's not like they're not broke. I mean, they're a cash to cap team, which means that unlike Ralph Wilson, the reason we get good players now is because we have a winning culture, but also because the Bills are willing to write checks, and give players cash up front, whereas Ralph was not a bazillionaire like the Pagulas are. But regardless of that, getting back to it, the Bills are a business. The business being good while the stadium is being built is the most important thing. And there is going to be a difficult conversation of what if. Okay, we've got Sean McDermott. We know that we're going to make the playoffs more often than not. And this year, they're probably going to make the playoffs. Let's be honest. They're probably not going to miss the playoffs this year. My expectation is still that they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know that they'll make it past the first round of the playoffs, but they're going to make the playoffs because, again, Cleveland, the Colts, right? And the Cleveland Colts and Steelers, because those teams are garbage. Regardless, they're garbage. So the conversation is do we fire our head coach and then bring in a guy that literally is Brandon Staley, and now you've got a Chargers situation where the team is not good, 9-8, right? Or 8-9, just can't play well. So I guarantee you there is a corporate conservatism going on right now that the Bills need to stay good because they need to sell tickets, because I'm a season ticket holder and I'm one of the guys. I've got my seats are 313 row 1. I'm on the 30-yard line, row 1. The PSLs for my seats, if I get seats, are going to be astronomical. I'm talking about mortgaging the PSLs because I don't have that kind of cash.
Yeah.
So they've got to be good enough for me to want to buy in, or I'm out. And how many fans can be out before this whole thing goes belly up? Not literally, but you know what I'm saying? Figuratively belly up. So there's an aspect that, and there's a reaction to sell tickets to the new stadium first versus win a Super Bowl first. That's my fear. And I would, if I had to guess, as a businessman, as a leader, as a guy that owns a company, as a guy that's been in executive leadership, I promise you those conversations are hard and heavy. Like, we need to make sure we're winning football games because of what's coming in 2026. And they want to give this stadium to the fans. It's not a situation where they're doing this for negative or bad reasons. They want to give us a good stadium. They want to do this, but at the same time, there's the reality that they got to pay for the damn thing, right? Because they're not at home in Colden, New York, in their mansion on the pond with $7 billion in the safe. That's not what's going on right now. Like, that's not who they are.
So now, could the same be said? Well, let me phrase it this way. To all the season ticket holders and those who frequent Bills games all the time, and my question is, what's good enough for you to buy in to this new stadium? Like what's good enough? Is it the Bills just winning the regular season and they go to the playoffs, but they don't really win a Super Bowl? Like at what point is it like, I've had enough, I'm done? Like, do you need to see them hang a banner up, you know what I'm saying, for you to be all in and buy in? Or are you just, content with them just winning and just going to the postseason, but constantly getting bounced in the first and second round?
That's tough. I mean, everybody's going to be in a different situation. So everybody's
Yeah.
financials are in a different situation. For Marshawn Lynch, everybody's mentals are in a different situation. I think a big difficulty in this whole conversation, as much as last year and the year before, and even, well, not 2020, but 2021, 2022, there was a great deal of non-season ticket holders that were wildly upset about the aftermarket, the secondary market for ticket sales. The tickets were $500 each or $400 each. And they're like furious. I may never get to go to a football game again, and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of, and I don't really sell my tickets, but like a lot of whining, but I get it. If you've got them and you can't go and the market's set, you can get 500 a ticket, get 500 a ticket. But this year has brought back the reality of, I can't give my tickets away. So literally, if it's a Sunday night football game or a Monday night football game, even against a team, the Broncos, that we should beat, I had to give my tickets away because I couldn't find anybody to buy them, let alone take them. And the people that took them walked out of there losers. They walked out of there like watching a football team lose at 11:30 at night. So you asked the question, what is it going to take for us to buy in? Josh Allen is a big piece of this. The expectation and the feeling that you're gonna win. I love going to games. I know that Bills Mafia loves going to the games. Cutting the stadium down to 62,000 seats makes a big difference. I don't know how much corporate garbage they're going to put inside this Crystal Palace, but there's a great deal of and I know I don't even know if are you from Buffalo? Rev?
No,
I don't even know.
No. I'm in Texas.
Gotcha. So they're going about this completely the wrong way, and you can't understand this unless you're from New York and realize what the politics here are like. I've been to Patriot Place. I've been 45 minutes outside of Boston, where the Patriot Stadium is, and there's a stadium, and there's restaurants and hotels, and there's a hospital, and it's a complete entire NFL compound with all this really cool stuff. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills are building the coolest stadium I've ever seen in the middle of a field in Orchard Park with nothing around it. They're just missing the whole freaking thing.
Wow.
There's and I know that that's a lot of politics more than the Bills necessarily, but there's a lot to it. Winning a Super Bowl would help, right? You win a Super Bowl, people are going to pay anything that they can pay, and they're going to mortgage anything they can mortgage to get into that stadium. You got to keep winning, but at the end of the day, if they start losing, it's not going to be great. The last thing they want to do is list PSLs at $10,000 or $15,000 a seat, and then 6 months later go, well, we've dropped our PSL prices to $7,000. Will you take it now? Right? I mean, they don't want to be in that, because then that's on Good Morning Football, which is on the wall in the back room there. like they're talking about it on ESPN First Take. Oh, the Bills have dropped their PSL prices. No team in history has ever had to do that. Right. So is Buffalo a viable market for an NFL team? Like those that, dude, here we go.
It's a tough place to be.
Around we go. Yeah.
It's a tough place to be for the Buffalo Bills, and they have to win. Which, I mean, and I think we can all agree. I mean, we want this team to win, and they have to do it, and which makes this season so crazy, right? I mean, it's like, man, like you're 6-6. Like you have nobody to blame but yourself. I mean, we can talk about injuries if you want to.
A rising tide lifts all boats. Win the freaking Super Bowl, all the problems solve themselves.
Joel, you got that right. You got that right. That's it. They just have to win the whole doggone thing.
Win the Super Bowl. Everything solves itself. Yep.
Everything corrects itself. Everything fixes itself, and we're not even having this discussion again. That's but right. The fact of the matter is, they haven't gotten there yet. And
they win the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl. The corporations buy the tickets. The corporations buy the suites. They might not keep them forever, but you start winning the Super Bowl, and like you'll have teams or companies will be coming from Toronto to buy. Yes, it'll be win the Super Bowl. Put a good product on the field. You won't have a problem.
Well, they have a product on the field. They have a good product on the field, and I think that this team, when they're playing their best, they can go against anybody, and I think they have the squad to actually win it all. I mean, it's just a matter of the coaching once they get in the postseason, but that's 6 weeks away. Right now, the Bills have an insurmountable task ahead of them once they get out of this bye week. And they have 5 games that I think they have to win. They probably have to win out. Now, I mean, of course, I don't know the specific numbers, but let's just take this time right now just to kind of go through the Bills' remaining schedule and figure out who they have to beat and how many games they have to win in order to get in the postseason. And it starts right out the gate with the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Joe.
They got to win that football game, which they can win. They can win that football game. They can win that football game. That's not a problem. But when you're looking at that, you've got to look at where everybody else is too. So I would preface this conversation with the fact that the Bills are 6-6. The Jets are out of reach. The Patriots are out of reach. In the AFC West, the Broncos are 6-5. So they're ahead of the Bills because they got one less loss. The Raiders are 5-7. Right. They're probably out of it. The Steelers 7-4 are in. The Browns are 7-4 in right now. The Bengals are 5-6, and I don't think you can count them out because they're a good coached football team like the Steelers. The Steelers are a good coached football team. In the South, right? In the South, you got the Colts at 6-5 and the Texans at 6-5. That's why the Bills are in 10th right now. So you've got a crap ton of teams here that have to lose. So go ahead. Now you can start your conversation. So it's Chiefs, right? Chiefs. They've got to win. They've got to win that football game. Yeah. They've got to beat every AFC team on their roster or on their schedule at the very least.
Do you see them beating the Chiefs?
Yes, they haven't had a problem beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead in the regular season the last couple of years. So they beat them both. They beat them twice the last 2 years.
All right. So if we're doing pick the Bills, coming out of the bye, the Bills win against the Chiefs.
I think the Bills beat the Chiefs, and I think we go to 7-6, and Bills Mafia is on top of the world again. Look, we just beat the Chiefs, even though it doesn't really mean anything because it comes down to the tournament. It comes down to the tournament.
Here we go. Week 15, the Bills come back home, play the Cowboys.
You picked that one. What do you think, Mr. Texas?
So for me, look, the Cowboys are a good team. I mean,
I was at the Bills' first Monday Night Football game in whatever it was, 12 years when the Cowboys came in and Nick Folk kicked that field goal in the last seconds of the game. That was a ridiculous game.
But that hurt.
I don't trust Dallas in this stadium that late in the year.
On the road.
The road, right?
Yeah, and I agree with you. And this is where I give the Bills the edge just because of that, and the Cowboys, they're probably, they're like, hey, we can afford to lose this game, against the AFC team. So I think the Bills can win that game. I will give them the win against the Dallas Cowboys at home. So 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
Now, the Bills have to go across country now to play the Chargers, who, I mean, we can look at the record. The record is not good, but I mean, they got Justin Herbert. You've got, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. They have weapons. They have talent. Again, their coach is coaching problems again. But a cross country trip in LA against the Chargers. What do you have?
So that the only team that loses more Billsy than the Bills are the Chargers. They just invent ways to lose football games, much like the Bills do. I don't see a situation, especially with, I think Bosa's out. Is he out for the year? He's out for the year, right? Is Joey Bosa out for the year?
Think so.
Yeah, I don't see a situation where the Chargers beat the Bills. So to me, If I'm a homer, I'm a homer, but I think the Bills win that game too.
Okay. So the Bills, 3 wins.
I've got three. I've got
Back to
wins.
back, three in a row.
Yep.
Okay. And let me see here. So now the Bills go back. They play the Patriots.
That's
December
a dub.
31st.
That's a dub.
They got to win that game.
That's
I think if the Bills are on a 3-game win streak and they go to Patriots, they have that taste in the mouth from the time that they lost, which they shouldn't have lost, 25-29. I think they go into at home and they just beat the ever living what out of the Patriots.
I agree. I think of the 5 games, there's a potential loss in there somewhere, but I see a path to them winning all of these games. However, I'll say this: the last game of the season against the Dolphins will not be for the AFC East. The Dolphins will have clinched the East by then.
You see, and that's where I was getting to, because this last game I was going to ask you if you think it's for the division. I don't think so. I think the Dolphins have the division. I mean, they're just too far ahead.
They're 2 games up. 5
Yeah,
games
2
left,
games
2
up,
games up, and they've got
and
an easy schedule. They've got 2 hard games left on their schedule. I think is the Cowboys and us, and that's it.
Yeah. So I there's no way I think that. I mean, unless something utterly ridiculous happens, I don't see the Dolphins losing enough games to where the Bills.
Their schedule is. Hang on a second. I'll tell you what their schedule.
Yeah, I'm
is.
pulling it up too. Yeah, I'm trying to. My internet's kind of going slow here. Let me see here.
So I mean, you're talking about. So they got the Commanders this week, right?
Commanders,
That's a win.
Titans.
It's a dub. They're going to beat the Titans, the Jets. It's the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Bills. So I mean, I guess there's a potential if they lose, if the Bills win out or get to 4-0, and effectively, the Dolphins lose to the Cowboys and the Ravens, which is not outside the realm of possibility. They lost to the Ravens last year after being up, right? They let them back in that game, and then the Ravens beat them at the end, which is what the Ravens then turned around and did let the Bills do to them. That game could be for the division. I have a hard time believing it. I think the Dolphins probably finish the season 4-1, and the Bills potentially 5-0, 4-1, 5-0, and then it's going to come down to. And we can look at those games too. You pull up the Brown schedule, and I'll pull up the Colts schedule.
Yeah, let's do that. Here, let me. Oh man, I mean, we looking at the Dolphins. I mean, I could see a path where they actually lose to the Cowboys, Ravens, and then that last game, against the Bills could be for something. Let me see here. Let me pull up the.
So the Colts are 6-5, right? So the Colts have the Titans, which is a game they could lose. They've got the Bengals, which the Colts are a funny team. These are all games the Colts could lose. They got the Bengals, the Steelers. They could lose to the Steelers. They're going to beat the Falcons. They're probably going to beat the Raiders, and they're going to lose to the Texans, whatchamacallit, on the last game of the season. So the Colts have to lose 2 of those games, and I think that's very, very possible. And while you're doing your conversation about
I got the Browns.
I'll look up the
Steelers. I got the Browns. So I got the Browns here. So tomorrow they're playing the Rams in LA. Then they have the Jags. Okay, now those two games right there, I think they could lose both of those games. Then they have the Bears at home. Then they go to Houston to play the Texans, the Jets, and they close out the game against the Bengals.
Where were the Broncos in all this mess? AFC standings. 2 seconds. I'm getting back to the Broncos. The Broncos were the Broncos are 6-5, so they're another one that the Bills have to worry. So you look up the Broncos while I go through the Steelers. Which, by the way, I just want to say that I am on record as saying that Mike Tomlin is the greatest NFL head coach ever. And to me,
I love Mike Tomlin.
The fact that he has never been less than 500, and people can be like, oh, it was all Ben Roethlisberger. You can't say that anymore. And we're at the point now where Belichick was a horrible head coach before Tom Brady, and he's a horrible head coach after Tom Brady. So all you can surmise through that is that Tom Brady was a big part of the reason that Belichick won a lot of those football games. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad coach, probably the greatest defensive mind to ever play, but as head coaches go, Mike Tomlin is unbelievable. All that to basically talk about this. So they play the Cardinals tomorrow. The Steelers do. They could lose that football game. They're going to beat the Patriots, in my opinion. The Steelers, Colts, who knows? That's a coin flip. The Bengals, interdivision, they could win or lose that football game. Again, no Joe Burrow. The Seahawks, it's incredible who Geno Smith has become as a quarterback. The Steelers are playing in Seattle, 4:05, December 31st, New Year's Eve. I think the Seahawks win that game, and then I absolutely think provided the Ravens have to play, which they may not, they might sit some players. I think the Ravens beat the Steelers, but believe it or not, our entire playoff hopes could come down to the Ravens benching guys in that last game of the season, and that's sad, right?
Right? Who would have thought that the Bills would be in this position in the hunt?
Need
Outside
help.
looking in, needing
Needing
help. I
Yikes.
that blows my mind. That
Yeah.
completely blows my mind. So now looking at the Broncos here, the Broncos. So they play the Texans tomorrow. Then they stay on the kind of in the West Coast. They play the Chargers after that. Then they're on the road. So they have 3 straight road games. The Texans, Chargers, Lions. I can see them losing all 3 of those games, honestly.
Yep.
And then they go home for 2 games in a row against the Patriots and then the Chargers, and then they close out the season against the Raiders, on the road.
Yep.
So there's a path right there for the Broncos. I mean, they could lose 3 to 4 games out of that final stretch there.
And the one team we didn't talk about, the Texans, can probably win the next 5. They're a good football team.
They are a good and well coached.
And well coached. Imagine that.
Well coached. And isn't it interesting to see 2 of the players that we just kind of dumped, and Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. All of a sudden, they go to different teams and they look as good as they do.
Dude, Zach Moss on NFL Access was called a monster on the show. They were like, "Oh, keep in mind that Jonathan Taylor isn't playing," and like the other guy was like, "Yeah, but Zach Moss is a monster," and I was like, "A monster? Like Zach Moss is the guy that runs into the back of the guy in front of him?" Like, but he apparently is playing really, really well.
Apparently not. Yeah. That's crazy.
And Devin is done. He's made some noise down there in Houston, so which is good for him. It's not that I hate to see it. I know Zach Moss personally. Zach is a good dude, and it's great to see him play well. So it just makes you wonder why it didn't work.
Things didn't work out. Right. Yeah.
So
coaching, man, and so I mean, there's a path for the Bills. But they have to win all these games. They cannot lose, in my opinion. I think you mentioned it earlier. They can't lose another AFC game.
They cannot.
The minute they lose the AFC game, I think it's a wrap. Right?
Correct.
They have hurt themselves too much this year. Golly, man, I didn't think that we'd be in this position right now. In the hunt, outside looking in, we need help. Bills gotta, we gotta, what's the cliche? We can only control the controllables, and we gotta take it one week at a time and win our games. But then you need all these kind of scenarios, and then here we are, like the last game of the year, and we're trying to play. Okay, well, that little, what's that little simulator on ESPN? I think they put it out. The playoff simulator where this team loses this game, and where did oh man, it's
the hard part is literally the Bills don't lose to the Jets. This is a different conversation. The Bills don't lose to the Broncos. This is a different conversation. Like the games that the Bills don't lose to the Patriots. The Bills don't lose to the Patriots and the Jets, and like we're like now it's a race for the number one seed at this point. So
yes.
It's just they've done it to themselves.
I mean, just like that, and it seems like every year there's always that 1 or 2 games where it's like, man, what are y'all doing? Had you won this game, the Bills would have had the number 1 seed, and then we're sitting here looking at. I still can't believe we lost to the Patriots. That right there, the Patriots and the Broncos are the 2 games that really just I was fuming at that. I can't believe. But
and how did they win? How did they win that game? What did Mac Jones do? Did he go right down the field and?
Last minute
have a
drive,
winning last minute drive, have a winning score,
game winning drive. Yeah,
on
what was it because Josh Allen threw an interception that cost him the game, or
I don't I'm sure he threw an interception in that game, but
he probably did, but I don't think that was. I think you look at it, it's the defense problem. Man, here we are. So, needless to say, the Bills they got to win out, yo. If there's a game they could stand and lose, they could stand and lose against the Cowboys.
Right.
But that's it. Every other game they need to win, and it does not help the fact that they come out the gate against the Chiefs right out of this bye week. On the road in Arrowhead. It seems like we've been playing this team in Arrowhead for years. Finally, we get them to Buffalo next year, but
maybe.
Man.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh man, it's ridiculous how many times we got to play this team in there, but it is what it is. The Bills got to handle their business, man. They got to handle their business. Joe, as we get ready to close out the show, man, what do you need to see from the Bills after the bye week? I mean, what
At,
are there
at
any
the risk,
improvements?
yeah, at the risk of upsetting all the Bills Mafia, including myself, complimentary football is important, right? And
Yeah.
I got sick of hearing about it as well. Going back to execution and all that stuff that we were talking about earlier, and you're talking about complimentary football, and like nothing is going right. There's an aspect of like, what do we have in like this shouldn't even be a conversation, but they need to play good offense, they need to play good defense, they need to play good special teams, because even the special teams unit has been bad this year. You said earlier, could Sean McDermott fire himself? To me, a big part of Sean McDermott staying is getting back as the head coach, only interested in the fine details of this organization and getting himself a defensive coordinator he trusts, along with an offensive coordinator he trusts and a special teams coordinator he trusts.
Yeah.
But it's just I lost my train of thought. I apologize. What was the question? Give me the question one more time.
Yeah, no. What do you need to see
What do I
from the
need to
Bills
see? So
after the bye week? Yeah, what do you need to see from them?
complimentary football. And at the end of the day, I need to see them put their foot on the necks of people and not let
Yeah.
up. And I need to see better coaching decisions. I need to see down the stretch those inactive participant mistakes. I need to see those go away or be limited greatly. Inactive participant mistakes, like limited or gone completely. No bad timeouts. I don't need to see any more timeouts when the opposing team's offense is on the field. You want to get a look at their defense. How many times does that happen? Like, it's just stop doing that stupid stuff. It doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work.
So it doesn't work. So stop wasting timeouts. Stop having bad challenge calls. Just stop all of it. Just stop meddling
I
in the
hate
game.
that.
Just
Oh man,
let them
I
play.
can't stand that. That you bring Josh out. Everybody knows you're not going for it, and you bring him out there to try to do a hard count and catch him off sides. I
Right.
can't stand it. Either you go for it or you're not. I would much rather you just line up and just go for it and catch the defense. That's how you catch them off.
Yep.
When they're not thinking you're gonna do it, just go up, line up, and boom, and just go for it. Anyway, Sean he's parts of his coaching. He's kind of like stuck in the old school, and I think I need him to get out of that.
Yeah.
For me going forward, man, like I just kind of echo your sentiments. I want to see some of the same. The Joe Brady, keep on doing what you're doing with Josh. He is, and I'll say this much. I hope we don't waste Joe Brady too. You know what I'm saying? Because I think we found something there with Joe that I like. And there could be.
It's
We
early, but
know,
yeah.
we know that. I mean, he's already, even I think last year he's already had calls, to be OC, and even I think he may have had an interview for a head coaching job. But he's going to be a hot commodity in the offseason. And so if Sean McDermott survives this year, I think he may need to hurry up and make a decision with Joe Brady going forward. Don't even fool around with it. I know people say, well, it's not enough time. Hey, it is. To me, go ahead and do it.
It'll be Joe Brady. I can't imagine that he
It
turns
has
this
to be.
offense around unless he gets an opportunity someplace else and the Bills don't want to match or something like that. But yeah, I can't imagine he's not going to get a head coaching offer. That's for sure. But
No, he's not ready. No, he's not ready. But yeah, so Bills just have to do it, man. And Sean McDermott has to get out of the way. He has to get out of the way. And I hate to say it like this, but Joe Brady in the offense, they may have to take the game out of Sean's hands. You know what I mean? Like they may have to get to the point to where they put up such a lead to where and I'm talking about a late game lead to where
yeah.
you don't have to worry about Sean McDermott's bad
Prevent defense.
decisions,
Yeah, or
prevent defense, being ultra conservative. So
Yep.
whether or not they're going to be able to do that against the Chiefs is a story untold.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll see, man. We'll definitely see.
It's gonna be fun.
Joe, it's gonna be fun. It is gonna be fun. Man, this was a therapy sesh. I know people are gonna be like, "Hey, man, you're a little too hard on Sean McDermott." It is what it is, man. Like I expect more. I want more out of this team. I like Sean, and in the perfect world, he improves and he gets out of his own way, and the Bills are able to keep this continuity going forward, and they can build on it. The last thing I want, trust me, the last thing I want is an organizational change like this, because we know what that looks like. It doesn't look pretty, and it's not oftentimes great. Now is there a possibility where if they end up making a decision that they could find somebody, who could, I know people are talking about, well, who give me a name. I think going back to what you guys said earlier, coaches will be lined up outside of One Bills Drive to get a chance to coach Josh Allen. So I don't think the Bills have to worry about that. They don't have to worry about that. But Sean needs to coach like his job is on the line.
Exactly.
And I'll just say that. I'll say that.
100%.
Joe, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me on.
Any last words? Yeah, man. Hey, tell you what, take this time right now, brother, to just kind of let us know what you got planned, in the future, where people can find you, you know, on your shows and your podcasts and all that, man. The floor is yours, bro.
Well, there's a lot of strange names in the comment sections that I've never seen before. For those of you that don't know, I actually started my journey at Buffalo Fanatics. But you can now find my show, the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show. It's a post-game show on Buffalo Rumblings. Sundays post-game, if the Bills play at 1 or 4 o'clock. If they play in prime time, it's usually the next day, right around 8 o'clock in the morning, but you can find it in pod form as well. But it is YouTube and in pod form. I do the Off Tackle with John Fina show on Monday nights at 8 p.m. And then I do the Hump Day Hotline with Jay Spence the King on Wednesday nights. But you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. Love to interact, love to be just a part of the community. So for all intents and purposes, if you follow me, would love to get to know you. So that'd be great.
Joe, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
you guys go ahead. I mean, go out there. You follow Joe. He's a stand-up guy. I love his content. Like I could really listen to him like all day long. They don't call him the voice for nothing. He has that voice, that you can really just listen to over and over and over again. He brings great content.
If I could get a job reading books, like where somebody would just pay me like $1 million to sit at home and record myself reading books so people could have like audio form books, I would do that. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh,
if the Bills, so FG's comment, if the Bills move on from Joe Brady, hypothetically speaking, like I could, if somebody just pay me, somebody give me $1 million to do that a year, right? Like just read books and the sunset on the beach, right? Just something. Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. And I would listen to it, man, because I hate reading. I'm in school trying to finish my degree, and I hate reading. And I'm one of those guys, man, where like I have to do the audio. Give me the audio version. Let me hear it because I probably have ADHD. Just hasn't been diagnosed, and I'm all over the place. So if I can hear it and voices is like yours, man,
same.
It makes life a whole lot better.
Right there with you.
A whole lot better. Shout out to you guys, man, for watching, for staying tuned, man. An hour and 40 something in the books. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you go ahead and follow Joe Miller at Joe Miller Wired. You know where you can find him. Follow me at Rated Rev. Go to supportbf.com and follow us on all of our social media platforms. If you haven't already done so, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, baby, it's Rev. It's Joe Miller, the voice. And as always, God bless and go Bills. We'll holler at y'all next time.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.